Oh, hey. Yeah, I know we're working with a different perspective this time. I felt it appropriate to do this video in front of my computer, given what I'm talking about. I'm gonna be. This is a response to the Hellsing 920's latest rant, where it's another installment in his console wars, and he discusses the PC end of gaming. And in terms of the best way he could have expressed his points to the worst way, I really think he was way closer to the worst way, especially given the video is now sitting at a wonderful 2.5 stars. I don't think any of... I very rarely see a video get that much hate. And I don't think a lot of it is deserved. I'm going to have to come to his defense on a few things, and I don't think it's really what he said in the rant so much as the way he said it. Like, for example, in the beginning of his rant, he used the phrase PC gaming scumbags. That choice of words probably wasn't one of his wiser decisions, but, you know, let's talk about video games. I haven't really talked about video games in a long time on here. So, let's talk about the PC. Now, I'm going to be up front right now in saying that when it comes to PC gaming, I am not exactly well-versed. I don't know too much about it. I'm a console gamer by trade. Well, not by trade, but you know what I mean. I'm a console gamer. I do game on the PC occasionally, and I've gamed on it before, but it's not something I know a lot about. But what I do know is that it's not nearly as bad as Hellsing came across. I mean, Hellsing said it's the worst choice you could possibly make when it comes to gaming this generation. I don't agree with that at all. And honestly, I don't think any of the choices that you have this generation, at least the main ones, are truly bad. As far as the main 3 consoles, as far as the 2 main handhelds, and as far as the PC goes, I don't think any of them are really, really bad. I think it really depends what you're looking for in a gaming console. So that being said, let's go over the pros of PC gaming from my end of it. Hellsing mentioned a bunch of things. He mentioned how you can mod games, which is only easier on the PC. It's not like you can't mod games on the consoles, it's just there's a whole mess of other shit you have to go through when compared to the PC, which... The PC is probably the most versatile gaming device. I don't even want to call it a console because it's not. Gaming, device that you could possibly get. Because there's just a whole mess of stuff you can do with a PC that you just can't do in a console. Or if you can, it's a royal pain in the ass. He also mentioned how you could pirate games. Which, alright, yeah, fair enough, you want to be illegal about it. I've used emulators before, and guys, if you guys have used emulators, then you're guilty of pirating. There's a lot of pirated stuff on PCs. Let's be realistic. It's the internet. You can get free music on the internet, you can get free movies on the internet, there's a whole mess of stuff you can get, including games. So, is that a pro? Yeah? If you really, really don't feel like paying for your video games, and you feel like hurting the company that made the game, then I guess you would go with pirating. So, yeah, there's that pro. One thing he didn't mention, which really got me, he didn't mention controls at all when it comes to PC. Namely the keyboard and the mouse. There are 2 types of games I can think of right now that are a hell of a lot easier to play with a keyboard and a mouse. Those are first-person shooters and real-time strategy games. The only RTS I've ever played on a console that I wouldn't have rather played with a keyboard and a mouse is Brutal Legend. Everything else, you have to move a cursor around with your controller. Who would want to do that when you could just use a mouse? I have never been able to aim easier with a controller on a gaming console when I can just use a mouse to aim my gun in a first-person shooter. Those 2 games are so much easier to control, for the most part, when it comes to the PC. And in addition to that, remember I mentioned versatility? This is a wired 360 controller. I can plug this into the USB port in my PC, and I can set these buttons to what I want to use it for, and it can be used for most games. I've played emulators with this thing. And there's a whole bunch of gamepads you can go out and buy for your PC. Like I said, the PC is the most versatile thing you could possibly get when it comes to gaming. And it's not just for gaming either. So, there's that. There's also another thing he didn't mention. In addition to it has, well, first of all, it has the biggest game library, hands down. There's no question. But that's only because the PC has been around for 2 decades at least, if not more. So there's a huge back catalog of games you could play. But in addition to that, sometimes the PC has either A, the only version, has a lot of exclusive titles, the only version of a game, or it has the better version of games. I'm thinking of a few things off my head. Let's see. Well, Orange Box. The best version of the Orange Box is on the PC. And, let's see, Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead 2, Doom. That's the earliest game I think of. Doom and Wolfenstein. I cannot think off the top of my head of a console that topped the PC version of Doom and Wolfenstein. I cannot think of one right now. The PC, when it comes to versions of games, I'm willing to say most of the time, the PC has the best version of a game you could possibly buy. But then that gets into the cons. With a PC, you have to install practically everything. Well, you know, dandy, you have to wait a little bit longer. But to be fair, I mean, the PS3 and even the 360, you can, and with the PS3, sometimes games are mandatory you have to install. So it's not like the PC's alone in that department. And yeah, PC has a lot of shovelware, but then again, so does a Wii. So does the 360. I think every single console out there has shovelware. The PC only has a lot of it because, you know, it has a back catalog that's retardedly huge. So there's that. In terms of cons, there's one thing I really think Hellsing did over-exaggerate. He said, I don't know why, he said that the PC is probably the most expensive gaming device you can get because you always have to upgrade it. I have an argument. First of all, it really does depend on what kind of gamer you are. Because let's take running games. If you went out and bought a halfway decent PC, that maybe it's a gaming PC, maybe it even isn't a gaming PC, and you use that just for your games, it'll probably last you a good 2 to 3 years before you really have to upgrade it. And with the PC, a lot of times it's easier to upgrade the video card or sound card than it is to go out and buy a new PC. So there's that. He mentioned having to pay for online. Not all PC games charge for online. That is something that varies a great deal in terms of cost, in terms of whether they charge at all. I mean, the 360 has the flat rate. Yeah, sweet. The PC, again, it varies. It depends on the developer. Some developers don't charge anything. Some developers charge a buttload. It really depends. And in addition to that, the need for buying a new PC. Well, you know, once you get around to having a new PC, it's probably been like, what, 5 years or so? You can't upgrade anymore. You literally have to go out and buy a brand new computer. Well, what happens every 5 or 6 years or so? Oh, gee, the new consoles come out, so you end up buying new consoles. And yeah, the new consoles will be good for, you know, 5, 6 years before they release new ones, but it's not like buying a new computer is going to be, you know, in a smaller time frame when it comes to consoles. And, you know, the PC is constantly evolving. I will say that it probably would end up being the most expensive if you're an avid gamer. I mean, if you want to get the best graphics, the best sound, the best everything on your PC, you're going to spend, you know, what, $2,000 in extra stuff? You know, it really does vary on what kind of gamer you are. I mean, when it comes to the PC, I haven't updated this thing at all, but mine runs Spore okay, and this is 2 years old. So, and not that Spore is really the most technically advanced game there is, but, I mean, you see what I'm saying? It's not like the PC is something you always have to upgrade. And it's not like you have to upgrade at all. It's just recommended. For, you know, in some cases, some gamers don't upgrade their things at all. They just run the games at lower quality than they can run them. Some games have different settings. You can run it at lower graphical quality so an older PC can run it. The PC is such an expanse of different possibilities and different options because it's so versatile that trying to talk about it as if it's a normal console really isn't fair at all. Do I think the PC is bad? No, I just think it has a few cons, and I do think it can get expensive if you're an avid gamer, like I said. And when it comes to PC fanboys, I will say this. I really do think that when it comes to PC elitists, they are probably some of the snobbiest people you could probably talk to, because there are some of them, not most PC gamers, but some, that literally will treat console gamers as if they're lesser gamers than them. I don't see how that's, you know, correct in any real way. So, you know, I mean, I don't think the PC's bad. Like, I really don't. I don't think it's the worst option. And like I said, I don't think any of the consoles are really bad. There's one I prefer over all the other ones, but I don't think any of them are bad. And you know what? Hell, while we're on the subject, why don't I just go over all the consoles? This will be a multi-part video, and I'll just cover every single console, what I like, what I don't like, and why I think, depending on who you are, that's gonna. It really depends what kind of gamer you are as to which console you're gonna go